Kia ora and welcome to CIO Leadership Live New Zealand. I'm your host, Kathy O'Sullivan, editor for CIO New Zealand. And I'm delighted to welcome Andrew Ramsey, General Manager for Information Technology at Fisher & Paykel. So Andrew, how are you going today?
Really good, Kathy. Really good. I'm really excited to join you on this chat today.
Oh, cool. Well, looking forward to hearing what you have to say. So to kick us off, can you just tell us a little bit more about your role and what your team at Fisher & Paykel Appliances does?
Yes, that would be great. I think, Fisher & Paykel, I think, is a pretty well-known brand to most of us in New Zealand. And, I joined Fisher & Paykel about 3 years ago. And it's been a really exciting place to join. I joined right at the start of really a strong growth period. And, really where we're shifting our purpose, from being just a great provider of appliances into providing experiences in the home through sets of our products, but also the connectivity of our products into other aspects of the home. And so, at the start of a real progression of technology and business change, which is really exciting. And, I sit in my role looking after all the technology platforms internally that run our sort of drumbeat of our planning, our manufacturing operations, supply chain, through to what we call our customer facing or customer engagement platforms that we use to various channels that we use to provide great experience to our customers. I interface really closely with some other technology teams. We have product development technology teams and also our digital marketing and our connected ecosystem teams. So a really collaborative role and quite a wide remit here at Fisher & Paykel.
So a huge period of growth you mentioned there, and obviously with growth comes a lot of change. And look, the word transformation, it's thrown around quite a lot. It is a bit of a buzzword. And it's often seen as, something that's easy or it's just a given within organizations. But in reality, transformation can be quite hard to do. So how has that approach taken shape in your own career, not only at Fisher & Paykel Appliances, but in your previous roles?
Yeah, I've worked in technology for quite a while now, and I guess the one thing you can say about it, it's fluid and always changing. So I don't think transformation is something that we will ever escape. It's called different things in your life, but it's always there. And I guess, when I think about it, evolution is driven sometimes by external forces on that. So it can be technology has changed, and there's been dramatic shift in technology that's happened outside. There's also changes that our customers drive, and what they expect from companies in terms of technology or how we can personalize or specialize our services. And then there's also the shift that's really happening in my experience over the course of my career, where IT or technology teams have, come from playing a role where they were about driving efficiency and, some automation of outcomes, moving information, up and down the value chains to where we can actually provide technology that really can create shift for the business, into new business models or providing new insights or how we can use information to really provide significantly different customer experiences or even adjacent products to those. So, those sort of forces play a big impact on how we work, and you talk about transformation. A lot of us have dealt with projects, and every project is a transformation because it makes a change in some way or another. But the transformation for me has really been about how we work, where it's the process of really being connected far more closely with your business, being more connected both internally, but also to your customers externally, understanding how you can play a role to help the business rather than just being that support partner that we used to be in IT. And so that real shift has been really, really a big change, I think. And so that's really played out in my career. And I didn't start as a IT guy. I started in marketing and sort of developed an affinity for technology, but that's another story. But it's really got me excited, particularly over the last sort of 6 or 7 years. What a big role technology has play in that business growth or transformation, as you call it.
Absolutely. And you mentioned there that, there are sometimes forces at play that do prompt a transformation, whether that's externally or internally, that will trigger that need for change. But are there any kind of key steps that CIOs must take along the way, walking back from that end point of end product of transformation? Are there any kind of key steps that are kind of common in that way?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it all starts with that L word, leadership, and we can all talk about technology and solutions, etc., and that's where we live and breathe. But the leadership for me is critically important. And what I mean by that, when we look at, particular initiatives, it's about developing what's that shared vision. Where are we really trying to get to, and aligning on that shared vision. And alignment's a critical word I use a lot. Alignment for me is not necessarily everyone agreeing, but we all align on what the right thing to do is. And so shaping that thought is really important. We play a big role as technology leaders doing that, and then being really super deliberate on what, not only why we're undertaking a particular change, but also what it is. And, we all have a tendency to dive into how and start looking at solutions and all these cool technology products. But for me, being really deliberate on what that is, really sets us up to hit the ground running, when we really get into a delivery project. And for me, it brings people together, as a cross-functional team, because we don't just work in isolation if we've got that in place. So I think that's, for me, the biggest thing. I'm always really deliberate on making sure we've got that shared vision, making sure we really understand the why, getting that alignment, and then also the what that we need to do. And then we can get into the technology side, which is also heaps of fun.
Yeah, heaps of fun, and can also be, change can be challenging for people. So are there any kind of common roadblocks that CIOs should be mindful of or try and avoid along the way when they're undergoing a transformation project?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit's what I've just talked about. Like misalignment, I think, can be one of those really things that hits you. If everyone comes at a particular project with a different level of understanding or a different understanding of what the project's all about or what it's going to achieve, that can be a real problem to start with. And sorry, I just want to harp on that alignment word. I think it's really important because sometimes people don't always agree that something's the right thing to do, or they're worried about a change in a particular way. And I think if you're really strong on that alignment, and even if people disagree on it, I think you can work around that up front. And then the other things that sort of come to mind to me that have been roadblocks is making sure you've got clear ownership on particular parts of the work, whether it's design decisions or solutions or parts of the product that you're delivering. So having really good ownership in there, and so you can make sure you've got really clear plans, but also you've got clear decision making. One of the challenges you often fall in, and I'm thinking about transformation projects, is that people aren't sure who can make a decision. Whether it's, as I mentioned, a particular design decision or a business rule or anything like that. So making sure you've got really clear decision making, so it's just the right people that are pulled together to make that decision, and then they communicate, is really critical, because I've seen many projects get lost in paralysis of decision making, and you've got lots of people working around a bit, not sure who can really drive things forward on that. I think that's really important because then you keep pace in your projects and you get to outcomes quicker, and that builds energy into your projects. And really all you're trying to do is, as some of these projects are quite difficult, is build the momentum. So getting things delivered as quickly as you can, using that as a way to learn, is really important. So set the foundation, get alignment, set your decision making up, and then implement like mad. It's probably my motto.
I love it. And earlier you mentioned, you are quite collaborative with other parts of the business. So as GM for IT, can you just give some examples of how you collaborate and influence the leadership team and the rest of the organization? Yeah,
sure. I think the first thing and we often struggle with it because we all joke, you never work in a GM of IT or a CIO role without, having way too much work than you can achieve. So I think the most important thing that I've been trying to work on, and I'm still getting better at it, if I'm going to be honest, is being really transparent about what we're working on, and so every part of my executive or peers across the business can always see, these are initiatives that we've got underway. These are the next sequenced initiatives, and these are the choices that I've got sitting out there that we can review and bring in, and we can keep adding those in. So that's really important. Show what you're working on, be really transparent with that. And then, it's part of the change that I sort of talked about at the start, that my role now is really to help the business, to really move ahead. And to be able to do that, I do need to engage really constructively with the rest of the peers and the executive across. So I need to understand their goals, their strategy and their goals and outcomes. And so I can play a part in going, hey, here's a really good initiative. By understanding what you're trying to do, talking to my team, doing research on that, and really helping lead that change on that. So it's not just me, it's my team, but I like to think we provide that innovation mindset, the curiosity to understand what's happening, the goals and strategy in a particular area, bringing that back, here's an initiative, and then making it transparent so we can all come together and align this is the right things to work on. And it's never ending, right? You think you've got your plan all lined up, here's the initiative working on, and you have that curveball comes in and you have to pivot and move things around, and just accept that's part of the role. But you've got to make sure everyone is clear on those changes when they do happen.
Brings it back to that alignment again. And so, Andrew, the role of CIO, it is evolving, and there, you've come from marketing. There's many others now who hold that CIO role who've come through different paths, whether it be finance or economics or science, many different pathways into that CIO role from the traditional, having to come up through the IT ranks. So what do you think are some of the key attributes of a successful modern day CIO when it comes to leadership?
I think curiosity is one of the most important things. As a trait, I try and build in myself, but also look at the leaders within my team. The idea that we are always trying to understand, seek to, think how we can do things better, and then learn is a really important trait in a CIO, as well as any other leaders within IT. The other aspect is how we develop our people. So the idea that we provide, that servant leadership trait as well, where we're thinking about how we make our people perform better, whether that's greater clarity on what their role is, their ownership, really giving them that autonomy, and then helping them succeed. By removing barriers, giving them the right environment to succeed, developing them as people. Those are the two super critical aspects of the role. And then, for me, it's actually being future focused is probably the last thing I really like to think about. It's not about necessarily where we are today. We've got projects going on. We need to keep those making sure they're exceeding, and we're keeping everyone engaged and happy with those, but also thinking about where we want to get to. And the most successful organisations, in my mind, are the ones that are thinking ahead. They're not just thinking of where we are today, but thinking about where we're going to get to and anticipating that. And so the idea that we can use that as a way to go, what are some initiatives that we can put underway that actually take us to where we think we need to get to? And, I can't talk to them specifically about what we've got going on at F&P, but we've got 3 or 4 initiatives that completely will shift the business in a particular way going on at the moment. And, some of them may be successful. I'm hoping they will be, but equally, they may not be. But, that's in part of being both inspiring, but also deliberate about where you're trying to shift the business to, or shift your teams to, is focused on the future.
Now, you've mentioned this a little bit there already, but the people piece is so key, particularly at the moment when there's such a shortage of talent. We've got way more roles than we have people to fill them. So can you just tell us a little bit more about how you create that internal culture to really help your people thrive?
Yeah, that's a really cool question. I think naturally you want to create a culture that people feel safe in, like they feel like they can be really open. And I think that people do really respond to that type of culture. And, what I mean by that is people can be confident voicing their opinions in there. If it's particularly if they feel like it, at times it could be negative, or they can see a deadline's going to be missed, or, haven't really challenged the decision, etc. That can all lead to kind of inferior outcomes in that. But it also leads to a culture where people, have a bit of fear, or they're just, rolling through and ticking the box, etc. on that, because they feel like if they put their head up, it might be chopped off. And so I think getting that really open culture where people can feel really, really confident to voice, no lines, no hierarchies. You can walk in and talk to anyone. You don't have to have a fully formed idea. I think is something that, I know that I respond really well to, but I know people when I've talked to about the culture, and particularly with respect to Fisher & Paykel, that they really like. It's really important. And then, you want to be doing really exciting work, which I believe we do here at Fisher & Paykel, and you want to be on the forefront of the business, driving transformation, not a back office IT sort of role. And we like to think we provide that here at Fisher & Paykel. And then I think everyone will talk about people development. We believe in it. We want to be super deliberate to people's aspirations, understand them, provide that cross-functional view too, where people move to roles beyond just IT. As I mentioned, we've got a number of teams that deal with technology and software here at F&P and opportunities. So understanding aspirations, and then building, like anyone, the opportunity for people to develop. And I think that's really important. And so I think the other aspect that I probably missed out the thing, and I should do, is the thought around diversity. And, our hearts and minds, we really understand the why on diversity, and, whether that's experience or gender or cultural, we're thinking about how we do get different perspectives in here. We've made a lot of plays around culture and gender. We've got mentor programs, both for gender, particularly for women in technology roles, as well as different diversity aspects with culture. So I think we want us to be seen as that place where, all different types of people are respected, young or old, male or female, any different race, background, etc. And that takes time, but the important thing for me is that we understand what it is. We build that into our thinking. We build it into our various systems and structures, like our recruitment. We also build it into how we work with external organisations that help promote that. And we've been on that path for 2 years, and I think we've got some great programs now that are really delivering results in terms of what we're seeing in terms of our workforce and the number of applicants we're getting here at F&P.
Great to hear, and good that you're taking a very practical approach on diversity, that it actually is embedded into your processes, and that is helping you attract different candidates from various backgrounds. So, Andrew, then just switching gears a little bit, when you reflect on your own career, are there any kind of mistakes or things, that happened along the way that when you look back on them, they were a great lesson for you and really shaped you as a leader?
I think, actually, when I think about this, I had a really good example where I managed to shut down all of Netherlands' courier business and postal system. But I think we've all had that time where we've made mistakes and we think the world's going to end in there. And I think for me, I was always in the mind that there was only one way, which I always had to get things right, and which caused me to, just sometimes sit on things for too long, or try and work out the best way of doing it, or getting the perfect presentation or diagram or things like that. And I think the biggest thing when I reflect is understanding that engaging with people really quickly and constructing my thoughts is a much better way than actually trying to, come up with the perfect solution yourself or perfect piece. So for me, the point of everything is get talking to people, bring your ideas, even if you've just drawn it on a napkin sort of thing. You can talk to your CFO or CEO or MD and just start trying to shape that idea. And I think there's a term called social construction of ideas. And for me, that's been the biggest learning for me over my career. And it probably has taken me, I would say, up till 2 or 3 years ago to really learn that. And I'm much better off for it. So hopefully that's useful for someone. And never be afraid and to get out of the idea, even if you think you only half got it thought through, because it'll move you forward quicker.
Absolutely. So what's the best career advice you've ever received?
What a great question. I think the best career advice I had was just to be yourself. I had a manager earlier in my career when I first started the workforce in there, and someone I still look up to. And they always said to me when I first started, because I think I was so quiet to start with, I was afraid to give my opinion. And they just said to me, you've got a lot of great ideas, just speak up, be yourself, don't worry if it's wrong, don't pretend or try and copy anyone else. And I think that's really important on that. We've all got great ideas. Doesn't matter how inexperienced we are on that, whether we're graduates or, right up to CEO. We've all got fantastic ideas and perspectives on that. So
absolutely. Good ideas can come from anywhere. Yeah. So then finally, Andrew, can you tell us what's important to you in the months ahead?
I guess we're kind of at that really interesting part of the year here at F&P. We've just done our 3-year planning. So that sort of sets our kind of aspiration over the next 3 years and our bigger rocks of programs out there. Next stage I roll into is budgets. So the exciting joy of joys of doing budgets, but I think rolling through your 3-year planning, that sets up well on that and sets your initiatives rolling in. And then, as I kind of mentioned, we've got 3 or 4 super critical initiatives running that are delivering over the coming months. So really, really important to me to see that we're getting the right progress on those over the coming months. And then, we'll start thinking about what's shaping in terms of next year. But I think it's going to be a busy couple of months.
It certainly sounds like it. And we look forward to hearing about the fruits of your labour and the exciting projects ahead. Andrew Ramsey, GM for IT at Fisher & Paykel Appliances, thank you so much for your time today.